I'm currently just whelmed.
My daughter said my daughter and her boyfriend went to go see that movie, Moon something, the one about the moon that's getting closer to Earth. Yeah. And she got back and I said, "How was the movie?" She said, "Whelming."
It looks a little on the stupid side, but
sounds like a kind assessment.
Well, it's a Roland Emmerich movie, so
well, there you go.
Big spectacle, not much substance.
Yeah.
I saw a trailer for it, and then I immediately forgot that it was happening.
Well, you got to admire someone who can mess up a Godzilla film.
No, I don't.
That takes talent.
I don't
have to admire anybody.
Yeah, that's true. Although I still, as much as I loathe just about everything he's done, Stargate was a good movie.
Was it?
I thought so. I still think so. I think Stargate, I mean, it wasn't a surprise in the whole film, but I think it was a very well done film and I enjoyed it.
I think Stargate SG-1 made it worth watching.
Yeah. But I liked Stargate when it first came out. I saw it at the movies and I enjoyed it.
I didn't care for the movie.
For some reason, I was thinking about that scene where James Spader corrects the Egyptian translation on the chalkboard. Was that James Spader that did that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
James Spader.
Yeah, he was Daniel Jackson in the movie.
I don't remember much about the movie.
And I don't know why that scene just popped into my head. Maybe I was thinking of Curse of Tahotep. I don't know. Apropos of nothing.
I've tried to watch it twice and I fell asleep both times. But no, really? I've seen several episodes of the show. I thought it was pretty good. But
because it just did Star Trek. Every episode was an old episode of Star Trek.
Everyone, but they did borrow liberally,
and then it became Stargate Farscape Edition eventually, right?
Yeah,
they brought in puppets.
Well, they brought in Ben and Claudia. And from what I hear, I've never seen it, but from what I hear, they were just playing Aaron and Crichton again. So.
I've never made it past the 4th episode of Farscape, so I can't say, but
all right, look, you guys are all individually making me upset.
maybe I'll never
seen Stargate.
I've seen it. I just never made it.
Stop. Let's just talk about Discovery.
Oh my god.
I did go see Uncharted the other night. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I've never played the game, so I can't compare it to the game, but
was the bit
the game is one of the best games ever. It is legit one of the best games ever.
Was the bit with him falling out of the plane, and was that as stupid as it looked in the trailer? Because it looks stupid.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't. I mean, it's not realistic at all. But it's another one of those things. It's another one of those things where they show it at the very beginning of the movie, and then they say 3 days ago, and then work back up to it.
So sick of that trope.
It's not a trope; it's a crutch.
We gotta start with some action,
You're probably wondering how I end up there. Yeah, that's me hanging out of the plane.
Well, yeah, they didn't do that part, but yeah, basically.
Sure wish I was Spider-Man right about now.
Where's my costume? In one of these boxes. All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of That Star Trek Podcast, where the Latinum is stacked high and the Rectachino flows freely. My name is Sean Ray, and joining me tonight in the historic Infinite Potato Studios is John Irons. How are you, sir?
I am in the Infinite Studios. It's a lot of space. It's nice.
We also have Rick. How you doing?
When you weren't looking, I put a tracker on you.
Joining us from DC On Screen and the Star Trek Universe podcast, we have Dave. How you doing, sir?
My studio is quite finite, unfortunately.
And the busiest man in podcasting. I say that because I'll tell you why I say that. But Chris is here from the Quantum Leap podcast.
Hi, guys. I'm doing well. I'm neither finite nor infinite. I am just me.
I say that because
that's all I can come up with. I'm sorry.
He's one of the hosts of the Quantum Leap podcast, and now suddenly you've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Reboot
Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I just put out our 100th episode, which we went back to the beginning. We went back to Genesis, the pilot, and I've been sitting on that show for 6 weeks now because in the last 3 weeks we've done 2 quick and dirty shows just about the reboot. So it was kind of nice that the reboot news came, and then I was able to drop episode 100 and basically like have a start back at the beginning with a new beginning to come. Does that make sense? Anyway, it seemed
Beckett of you.
It seemed very poetic at the time to drop episode 100 and have it be episode 1. And just knowing that we have so much more to talk about in the future, at least a new pilot to discuss. So
please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't
Yeah,
suck.
well,
you were saying that, and we really didn't think that cast list was legit, but that turned out to be legit. I don't know how I feel about it. I have opinions, and you can hear them on episode 99 of the podcast, but I have hopeful optimism. Did you guys see the character list?
No, who's playing?
I saw it.
I listened to your show.
I saw it, but I don't remember all of it. I know Magic is in it, right?
Yeah. Herbert Magic Williams, which is a former Leapy, someone that Sam leapt into at one point. That's really that, and another one of the characters who seemed just a little too twee is really what made me think it was a fake, because Magic is such a deep cut that I don't know that anybody would pull that character out for a sequel or a continuation. And I guess I was wrong. I mean, apparently he's going to be part of the show. So
it's probably
who's playing Sam.
It's not. It's continuation, Rick. It's a new leaper. Scott is certainly going to be involved in some capacity. I'm sure he'll do at least a cameo or something at some point. But Sam is still out there leaping. And,
that's cool then. I'm all for continuations. I'm not a huge fan of reboots, but a continuation, hell yeah.
Yeah, and some people on Facebook have been taking me to task specifically for saying reboot, and I just say get over it. It's reboot, sequel, continuation. It's all the same
revival
thing.
It's a revival.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Resurgence.
Well, it's like the upcoming Babylon 5 reboot / reimagining, whatever the hell they're doing. But Straczynski's involved, so I'm like, all right, if you know, it's like what were we talking about the other day? Berkeley Brotherhood.
Oh yes,
and the Bloom County animated TV series.
Yeah, on Fox.
Yeah. Which animated Bloom County would have had me rather furious, except Brotherhood is right there as an executive producer, and he's been working alongside of them, so I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it has potential.
It's time for me to dig out all of my Bloom County collections from the 80s. I think I have about 13 or 15 of them. I'm not really sure when I stopped.
Most of mine are in a box somewhere too.
Yeah, they're in my closet over here. It's the heaviest box I own because they're all those glossy big trade collections. Yeah.
Sharon's got all my Calvin and Hobbes books in her room.
I think they're in the same box with my Calvin and Hobbes. Rick, we really are the same person. Sometimes when I'm listening to the podcast and we're both on, I'm like, is that me or is that Rick? I literally cannot tell the difference between our voices.
I was chatting with Scott the other day and
Captain Game Show. That's awesome.
I was chatting with Scott the other day and he was saying that now that they're doing a reboot, then there's no chance of him being able to get his idea for a Quantum Leap reboot made. And I said, I don't know, maybe they'll do like Discovery and they'll start spawning 5 or 6 different spinoffs, including an animated series that's all about the cafeteria workers at Project Quantum Leap.
Can I just drop a truth bomb on you, Scott? There was never any chance of you getting your
I would watch an animated show about the cafeteria workers at Project Quantum Leap. I would.
And one of the jokes is that everybody's probably an illegitimate child of Al. or something like that.
No, not since Mirror Image.
Yeah. Well,
Since that
all right,
changed.
let's talk about Star Trek. So tonight we're going to be covering the last couple of episodes of Discovery because if you were looking for us last week and you thought you missed us, you didn't. We weren't here because my work schedule, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, all of it just kind of necessitated taking a week off. So we're covering 2 episodes this week. First off, we will be discussing episode 8 of the 4th season of Discovery, which was titled All In, written by Sean Cochran, directed by Christopher J. Byrne and Jen McGowan. And of course, the original air date was February 9th, 2022. Following a hunch, Captain Burnham tracks Book to an old haunt from their courier days and gets drawn into a high-stakes competition for a powerful weapon. What'd you guys think of this episode? John, what'd you think?
It was fine. It was fine. I liked bits and like I didn't dislike any of it, but nothing was like super amazing either. Like I guess the parts that I liked I saw coming, so I guess I kind of took off. I didn't say take off points for it, but it didn't wow me. But no, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I liked the stakes. The stakes were about where they should be, and they ramped up appropriately as the show went on.
Okay. Rick, what about you?
I loved it. I think this was unequivocally the best episode of the season thus far. I really enjoyed it. I love Owoshikun, so watching her kick ass was so much fun. I love the fact that at least it sounds to me like she's letting a little bit of her actual accent creep in. I love the character. I think the actor is fantastic. So, the whole cage fighting thing. Yeah. I mean, there weren't any real surprises in this episode, but how many surprises are left out there? So I was fine with it.
That's why there's surprises.
Yeah. What's driving me nuts though? The dude that played, what was his name? Haas, the guy that ran the place with the triangle head. I can't find anywhere. His name isn't on IMDb. I can't find out who the actor is that played him, and he looks familiar as hell.
It was on there. Let me hang on a second. I'll look it up.
I did see who it was, but I don't remember now. I thought he looked familiar too, and then I looked him up, and I was like, okay, I don't know that guy.
You know what? I think, and I had the same exact reaction, and I'm trying to figure out. I think he had a very Bruce Campbell-esque like quality to him, and maybe that's why he just sort of looked like someone that you know, instead of actually being one of those guys,
it could be, but he really seemed familiar, and at least for like I haven't tried checking again for quite for at least a week, but like for the first few days after the episode came out, he wasn't even listed in the cast list on IMDb. They listed the 2 people that had no lines that were playing poker with him.
I looked it up while I was watching the episode, but hold on. Let me.
So did I.
It
was on the interwebs.
Haas. His name is Haas, right? Let's see.
Yeah, Haas, but I could not find him to save my life.
Hold on just a second. This is the part that gets edited out. Let's see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dave, what did you think?
Yeah, Dave, what did you think of the episode?
I thought it was perfectly enjoyable. I love Owo. I liked the card game quite a bit. However, for a mid-season opener, I felt it fell a little flat. It didn't progress the story as much as I would have liked. Kind of felt like the majority of what actually happened was like, as far as the season goes, was in like the last 10 minutes, which is fine. It's just,
I actually like that. That was a plus for me, because like I said, it kind of it kind of eased into it, because it's going to be like nonstop shoot 'em up action for the rest of the season, or at least for a while.
Well, I did like that it sort of, for us, deepened what Michael and Book have. Like, I really liked how they were, cheating to make sure the other people got out. And I mean, I liked how they worked together, even though they were, apart. I liked all of that. And I really liked Haas. I thought he was a really interesting antagonist, and I'd love to see him again.
His name is Daniel Cash, and
That's right.
I'm looking through the list of stuff that he was in, and I don't see anything that I think Rick would watch.
Would you say Daniel Cash? Like
Yeah,
Johnny Cash?
Kash.
All right.
An episode of 911. He was in the Mindy Project, Jane the Virgin, Shameless, Grey's Anatomy, stuff like that. So Dexter.
I'd be shocked if Rick has even heard of all of those shows.
Yeah.
Heard of him.
All right, Chris, what you think?
This would have been a perfectly wonderful little outlier in any other Star Trek series, but unfortunately in Discovery, I still don't know the characters at all. So it kind of falls flat to see them out of their element, because I know Owo from sitting on the bridge and, spouting like Sulu type lines, or maybe doing one speech a season. If this had been like a DS9 cast or a TNG cast where you actually knew each one of them individually, I think this would have been terrific. But as it was just like, okay, Owo is now a bare knuckle boxer. Okay, I guess. Where did that come from? I don't know. Everybody in Starfleet trains in the gym, I guess. The Michael Book stuff was good, and Mr. Cash was probably the best guest star I've seen on Discovery, bar none. He was so good,
And he was in The Expanse, so bite me, all you.
There you go.
Who was he in The Expanse?
He was Anthony Dresden. Now I can't say offhand which character that was, but I'm sure if I saw him.
I think that's security guy.
It was season 1. Sorry, Chris.
No, it's fine. So yeah, it was perfectly okay. It was enjoyable. I just think it could have been a lot more enjoyable. Someone needs to call Ira Stephen Bear to punch up these characters. Anyway,
Well, part of the problem is, they're not doing 26 episode seasons anymore, so there's only so much time they can devote to.
tell it to Prodigy. Seriously, I know
But there's
everybody
only
on
6
Prodigy.
people on that show.
Yeah, but how many people are on the bridge of the Discovery? Michael, that's it, and maybe Saru occasionally. I mean,
Yeah, I was about to say we know Michael, we know Saru. We knew Tilly, but we know Stamets.
we know Stamets better.
We
Yeah.
know Stamets, and
We know Culber quite a bit.
We know Culber.
Yeah, but even this season, Stamets is only getting like 5-minute scenes here and there. He's not really front and center.
This season is like Culber on overdrive. Like
Mhm.
it's all
Yeah,
Culber all the time.
Culber's been in a lot. Yeah. Okay, so I'll be the Debbie Downer. This was not my favorite episode. There were parts of the episode that I enjoyed. I did like the MMA fighting with Owo, even though, like Chris said, we had no idea that she was so proficient in fighting.
We did actually, but
We did?
Yeah. Well, that was
I
Mirror
forget.
O, but still.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, all of those guys are proficient in fighting.
well, no. In the actual in the Prime universe.
Oh no,
she
that's right. It
was,
wasn't
but,
Mirror
yeah.
O, was it?
No, it wasn't. But
That's right.
it's okay. It's okay, guys.
Wait, Dave. So where
You're not expected to remember like
Jog my
one
memory.
scene out of like season 1 or 2, whatever it was, like in an entire series. Like they've mentioned
Was
it
it
like
the church?
once. I think so. I
But
think
that
it
was
was
the
the
only
church.
other episode that she was featured in was the Pike in the church. I don't
Yeah.
remember her laying down the smack on anybody in that.
No,
I think they
in
talked
the
about
Mirror
how she grew
universe. In the Mirror universe, she was fighting. It wasn't Bryce. It was the other dude. in the corridor was like a blood they were like, and then
Mhm.
just as she was about to kill him, they stopped the fight or something.
Right, yeah, but like you guys are saying, everybody in the mirror universe is good at that. So
Yeah, that was Mirror
I don't,
Owo.
I don't count that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I just felt like
But
this
no,
episode was a speed bump, because there's like we've got these high stakes. We got to stop this this DMA, and let's stop off at this casino for this week, and let's play a poker game. Let's play a poker game for the fate of the galaxy. But
when you put it like that, it makes me like it better. Actually,
I felt like they set up a plausible reason for them to do everything that they did, which is all I need. Like that,
it was plausible. It was just kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they didn't find a way to work it in and everything. I'm just saying that it wasn't my favorite episode of this season. So,
I mean, it might have been better if they'd ridden horse things through the casino at the end, but
nope.
I hadn't really thought about it, but I think I do agree with Chris. I think it would have been a lot better if these characters were more fleshed out.
Or even if it happened during this episode, because they exchange some looks and they do the head bump thing. So clearly they're cool, and I don't know if Burnham was surprised that she really knew how to fight or not, or if she was just playing the role to hustle the rest of them. A conversation would have been good. Like, yeah, it's too bad they didn't know that you grew up earning your money doing this or whatever. Just something to so that it's an actual character trait and not just a thing that she did.
Like when they put their
build, this is who this person is. Okay, well, I guess she fights. Cool, but she fights because this part of her history that we now have, but we didn't get that.
When Burnham and Owo embrace and touch foreheads, I was like, are they this close? Did I forget that?
I mean, I guess they are, and that's fine. But
we've seen them have more than 3 conversations in the entire series.
I feel like
black girl magic. I mean, seriously, I guarantee you, if you're in an office and there's only 2 black women, they're probably going to be friends, or they're not going to like each other at all. There's going to be a thing.
I've experienced that one actually.
I didn't need any dialogue on that part. That was good.
I felt like there was a lot of stuff that happened in this episode that would have worked better if it had happened in separate episodes, so it get fleshed out more. Like Culber has this scene where he's having a breakdown because he feels like he let Book down, and it's all relegated to this 4-minute scene, and Stamets is just like, let's go to the holodeck and take a walk, and everything's better.
Well, that's the problem we've had with Discovery since the get-go is there's only so much you can do in 13, 14 episodes.
I look at Prodigy, like Chris said, man, my God, Prodigy has done such a better job of fleshing out their characters. They really have.
If you don't have time to flesh out the characters, then maybe you should have less characters. I don't know.
Prodigy has 10 episodes that were 30 minutes each. Discovery has had 13 to 16 episodes.
50. This is episode 50.
Yes. Yeah.
I still can't name the bridge crew.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We should have gotten something else from Reese and
Reese
eye implant girl and
who? Yeah, exactly.
Reese, Bryce, Nelson, Owo.
You never see anybody off duty.
Yeah,
they kind of do this thing like The Walking Dead has done for years. If you focus on a character too much, that means that character's about to die, or that they're leaving, or something like that,
or they're Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
How many episodes have we had focused around Ash Tyler? Where the shit is he?
Getting ready for Section 31.
Yeah,
for years, literal
years
now. Been waiting for Section 31.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
so
I'm so upset they're taking their time getting to that one.
So Book and Tarka had taken the prototype Next Generation Spore Drive, and they They aim to strike at the
which
source,
is conveniently pocket-sized.
powering the DMA, which will hopefully
designed it that
eliminate
way.
the DMA as a threat. But this course of action threatens a powerful response from the makers of the DMA, whoever they may be. So Rillick gives Michael a stern talking to because she didn't predict that Book had this rogue plan going on. But then she assigns Discovery to go and find out more about the area of space that the species 10C comes from. But then Vance comes behind her and says, you know what? I want you to focus on this. I'm taking a page out of Rillick's book, and I want you to find a solution to this book problem. So
I got such a kick out of the fact that for once Michael did what she's supposed to do and go, yes, ma'am, and walk away. And then 5 minutes later, Vance is like, I need you to be you.
but Michael kind of figures out a way that she can do both because she knows where Book's heading, and she thinks that she can also obtain the star charts that she needs in this gambling den on the planet Parathia, run by Haz Mazzaro, a broker that Burnham and Book visited during their year together when they were couriers. And she was right; he was there. So he's trying to get this isolinium that they need for Tarka's plan to work. And so he's doing it by trying to help Haz find some cheaters. And Michael and Owo go in there and they try to earn some money by basically hustling fighters.
It sounds silly when you say it like that.
Well, I mean, that's what they did. They were hustling a fight.
No, all of it. I did love the that Has had all these little sayings that you understood without understanding them. That was perfect, like, because that's exactly how it would be. You know?
There were so many references to past Star Trek episodes in those sayings.
I assume so.
There were.
Yeah.
There were.
I have to go back and rewatch. Was that the gag was that his universal translator was a little bit wonky. So
No, it was just that
he kept on like his sentences ended in weird words.
No, he just had all these aphorisms, but they were referencing creatures or planets or whatever that.
Oh, I really thought that they said something that was off with his translator as well. Maybe I don't know. Anyway,
that's at least that's how I took it. I didn't think anything was off with his translator. He was just, it was a little Tanaga sprinkled in situation.
A little Tanagra sprinkled in.
Did anybody think
like you
did anybody think that Has kind of looks like a cross between a Babylon 5 character and the big moon guy that from the McDonald's commercials back in the day?
Yep.
Mac Tonight, you mean?
Yeah, Mac Tonight. Yeah,
Mac,
which
Played by Doug Jones, by the way.
was played by Doug Jones. Yes.
Who just won this weekend. As we're recording, there was I don't remember the name. It was like the Hollywood Makeup Artists Guild or something like that. They had their awards, which apparently they do, which, we'd never really heard about it, but Discovery won an award for best visual effects makeup, and Doug Jones got their lifetime achievement award just for being one of the most awesome humans ever to sit in a makeup chair. And he was his usual incredibly humble self, because he's like, all I did was sit there and let you amazing artists put shit all over me. And it's just Doug Jones, we don't deserve him. He's just such a wonderful human being.
All right, so go ahead. Dave.
Oh, sorry. They never said what Haz's species was, but I referred to him to my wife as a Jim Haddam.
There you go. That's what I was trying to think of.
Like sort of an ultimate Jim Hadar.
He had a very Jim Hadar look to him. Yeah.
I think he kind of looked like a Dorito, but
he did.
Now I want Doritos.
So they find out that the cheaters is actually one cheater and is a changeling. And this is, I keep seeing people making all these theories online. They said it's a changeling. Do we know that it is a changeling, as in Odo's species of changelings, or is this just another?
Yeah, you could when it stopped morphing long enough, you could see that it was like it had an Odo face.
That fake face that Odo and the female changeling had.
Apparently, they can mimic every species but human.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it would take a minute to morph, and then sometimes it just like walks past the bulkhead and it's a different person. So
Have you
sometimes
seen
it's
Deep Space
really
Nine? There's
fast.
not a whole lot of continuity with the damn changeling thing at all.
Now, I'm not the fan who's going to be nitpicky about the uniforms of the ships or whatever, or even the special effects or what the Klingons look like. But when this changeling, he didn't turn to gloop. He turned in like it was like the it was like the sand effect. It was like the what call it, the morphing metal. What am I thinking of?
Oh,
You're thinking of
T1000?
T2?
No, the what they have on Star Trek, what they have on Discovery.
the
programmable matter.
programmable matter. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like programmable matter. I'm like,
Well, it has been 1,000 years. You know, they may have evolved too.
they evolved worse. Well, no, they definitely should have increased. Like, you know, it shouldn't have been, you know, 90s computer graphics special effects, but like glop is easy. Like that would have been easy. I guess, you know what, you already got a sand guy. Hey, could you
I don't think it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be one of the founders. I prefer my changelings to look like I'm smoking a cigar. So, I really,
I can.
I'm not. It's not like it ruined the show for me, but I did like that's not what changelings look like when they turn to goop. and they've already established that changelings are, you know, can be thousands of years old. I'm like, it shouldn't be like they don't evolve. They've already hit it. They're done.
Well, maybe the older they get, the more sandy they get when you don't want them to look like, you know, you don't want them to look like old Capri Sun commercials like they did in DS9. I mean,
well, you know what Odo looked like when he when they would force him to not be able to change, you know.
He would like shrivel up like jerky, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
he would get all slimy and goopy.
He got drippy.
Yeah, there was an episode where they would not let him change. They had some device.
Garrick was torturing him.
Yeah, and he had like pieces of him were peeling off and all that kind of stuff. It looked like he got left under a sun lamp for too long.
So if that changeling,
that was not the situation here.
If that changeling that was shifting, like they are already in a shady situation where they're cheating. They may have been doing it for drugs. They may have been, hear me out.
Sure.
They may have been,
fine.
you know, like tweaking on something, having withdrawals, you know, like getting all shrivelly and jerky, like
with the blinking.
Yeah, like
Sure.
yeah.
Maybe it's a personal choice. Maybe Odo never realized he didn't have to become all gloopy. He could become sand or rocks or Captain Crunch or something.
Maybe there's now the Great Link has divided and there's two races of changelings, and you got the gloopy ones, and they're like, you don't want to hang out with those sandy ones over there.
See, this is what I think Star Trek,
the gloopy and the sandy, and then they have like cement babies.
This is what Star Trek writers should be doing. Star Trek writers should be introducing continuity errors just to like scroll through Twitter and like, or listen to podcasts and hear the fans give really awesome explanations for why it's different.
We call that post-creative reasoning.
And they're like,
I have
shit, we've got a whole season, y'all. Look at this.
I have seriously, like, not even lying, no cap, as the kids say. I have seriously like considered like doing a podcast that's only headcanon. Like any inconsistency, like just bring it to me and I'll explain it away.
Yeah. Dude, I would listen to that. I would.
Whatever you guys,
not for nothing, but I think I've mentioned it before on the show. On Facebook, I'm a member of the Star Trek shit posting Facebook group.
Yeah,
and it has been established, although they're not admitting who it is. It is an absolute fact that there are several of the writers of Lower Decks that are part of that group, because every now and then they'll put in one of the inside jokes from the group in the show.
Nice.
Now I do have a little bit of a nitpick in the part of the episode where the Michael and Owo are in the shuttle. Michael says that this part of the galaxy that they're going to, this planet, does not look favorably upon the Federation. Take your uniform off.
Yeah, I had a problem with that too.
Well, they weren't going undercover, though. I mean, they were going as representatives of the Federation.
Yeah.
They just knew that they had no authority there. And they didn't try to come in and assert authority. They came in to deal, and Michael also had a pre-existing relationship with. I'm thinking that maybe they did that because she knew that it would be a den of violent equity with a hive of scum and villainy, and maybe the Starfleet uniform would let them steer clear of needless conflict. It might scare some scumbags off. That's my headcanon.
It might draw some in too.
I assumed
Yeah.
I assumed that was Michael's plan of full transparency with the Federation, because they've been trying very hard to be like, we're not here to screw you. No one's getting screwed. We're trying to do this right now. And I think that's probably what they were trying to do, is just be like, here, full disclosure, here we are in our Starfleet uniforms. We need this. Help us out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I loved the holographic sea monster as hiding the door. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Book wins the Isolinium, but unbeknownst to him, Michael has put a tracker on it so that even when he takes it off, she can still follow him. Michael also says that if Book continues with Tarka's plan, then their relationship's going to be over, and Book still continues with the plan. So that kind of speaks as to how much faith he has in what he and Tarka are trying to do, and also where he's at as far as in his grief from losing his planet, that this is all that matters. You know, he's ready to burn every bridge as long as he can take this out, you know. So
burn every bridge and burn every ham.
Yeah. Rounding out this episode is a scene between
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, man. I mean, I can't judge because I do host Captain Game Show, but wow.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I still don't get it.
Burn him.
Burn
Ham.
Oh, got it.
them.
Thank you.
Rounding out this episode is a scene between Stamets and Culber, where Culber's feeling guilty and responsible for Book's actions, and as ship's counselor, he believes that he should have been able to do more to help Book deal with his grief. And he says that his failure to do so is proof that Kovich was right, that Culber was spreading himself too thin. And like I said, Stamets says, let's go for a walk on the holodeck.
But that was such a sweet scene. That was such a wonderful little moment.
Unless you were the Dot, unless you were a little robot. Poor robot got yelled at for doing his job.
Yeah.
I officially hate the dots. They look
love the
so cartoony. They're ridiculous.
That's how you can tell the difference between us, because I love the dots.
Yeah, there we
I
go.
should hate the dots. I really should, but
The dots, they look like they're out of that 1980 movie, The Black Hole.
They do.
They
They do.
I'm fine with that.
They
What
should talk
happened
like
to the
Roddy
dot-
McDowell.
What happened to the dots having the Powerpuff Girl color coding? Because they all look
Well,
the
I
same.
assume there's
now.
more of them now. I
Yeah,
think of them like
And that was on the
again,
Enterprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, these are
30s.
31st century dots.
Yeah, these are
These are like
forever
DRDs.
dots.
Is how I think of them.
No, okay.
But since the dots were introduced, all I did was oh god, Star Trek has droids.
Yeah.
Well, DRD
they,
is
they actually have droids, yes.
I know.
No, I was telling David. I know you know.
Excuse me. I mean, something. Excuse me. I choked to death on nothing. Something that I think that, I think we may have talked about this at the very beginning. And I kind of made, a a mental choice. And every choice is mental. I made a conscious choice. That's the word I'm looking for. Discovery is very much a product of our Star Trek and the Kelvin Star Trek, because the producers were like, we've got to bring in all of the people that Abrams brought in, and we got to make them feel comfortable. And so right off the bat, it was a lot more of the, you know, the visual aesthetic of the Kelvin universe, as opposed to our Star Trek.
Mhm.
And I decided that I could either bitch about this until it goes off the air, or I could just learn to deal with it. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of people, and all right, unfortunately is the wrong word. We've got a lot of people who are kind of straddling the line between Star Wars and the Abrams stuff and Star Trek. And so droids really kind of fit into that aesthetic more than they did. But you know what? The more I think about it, I think if Roddenberry could have, you know, if effects had existed at any point in, you know, from TOS up through TNG, up through season 5 of TNG, I'm sure there would have been some kind of stupid cheesy robot if they could afford it.
Yeah.
Thank God there wasn't. I mean, well, they had Nomad.
Yeah, and that won they won an Emmy for that, or not an Emmy, but they won.
But I'm sure that if they had a regular, it would have looked like K9 from the Doctor Who series. It would have been freaking awful.
I have not had a huge problem with the dots. They've been mostly in the background. I was afraid that they were going to be like the droids on Star Wars and just be completely like vaudevillian slapstick.
Yeah,
And they have not been so far. So thank God. Okay. Thank you. We don't need that. But I did feel bad though that Culber was just being openly abusive to this thing. I'm like, okay, you guys are way further than Picard, and they were already worrying about how you deal with sense, you know. Like,
But if they didn't paint like giant puppy dog eyes on the damn thing, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's anthropomorphized to a ridiculous extent. It looks like a Hummel. It looks like, you know, just it needed like a drop of dew coming off its giant eye.
yeah,
It's like, give me a
my
break.
thing is that
It's a utility. It's a mop. It's a space.
You would think
mop.
that they would shy
It didn't
away
get its
from
feelings
creating
hurt.
you think that they would shy away from creating the droid-like characters that are basically going to be your housekeepers and stuff after the whole exocomp peanut hamper.
See,
I would say
I am not thinking of them as, you know, servants to humanity. I'm thinking of them as organelles to Zora.
I think of it as a Roomba with a face.
Exactly.
okay, yeah, but you could do that, but then the minute Culber yells at it, it goes, and you feel different. It's a different situation. It's a
I have a
Mr.
Roomba.
Cold-hearted bastard, but it didn't because as soon as he left the room, he went back to his thing. You know, he was like, yeah, like he's not traumatized by it. It wasn't traumatized by it. It's fine.
You don't know.
I have a Roomba, and my grandson has named it, and he worries about it when it goes under the couch and all that stuff. So,
based on some of you guys and your responses, I think we need to watch Measure of a Man again.
All right, so
it's not a data.
Also, the star charts that Burnham receives from Has help the Discovery crew to determine that the DMA is actually a mining device that sucks up all the boronite in a given part of space, and then that material is used to power a massive field of space found where species 10C resides. The field so Vance says that the field could hold a star and a couple of planets, which makes the idea of Book and Tarka destroying the DMA even more impactful. So, because it could lead to an aggressive rebuttal from species 10C. The rare mineral being sought is boronite, which is a fictional element in Star Trek lore that was once used by the Borg to create an Omega particle, not to be confused with bornite, which is rather common and does nothing special that we're aware of.
Not to be confused with Zbornak, who was one of the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Sure. I was
Yes.
happy they used Bornite. I was happy that like the board that they used something that the board couldn't find enough of to make it, make sense for them. Because so often in Star Trek, they'll just bring up some random bullshit. They're like, oh, we need this, but oh no. And then it's always some kind of big, powerful thing. And then you never mention it again. Just like, TNG,
Yeah.
how they're like, oh, we're warping and destroying the universe and we're going to work on it. And then they're still using dilithium in 32nd century.
Or then you bring up something like trilithium, and trilithium is a different thing every time you mention it.
That's true. Yeah.
So I really appreciate them bringing in Bornite, being like, hey, this is a real thing in the universe.
Isn't it intriguing though that we have real adherence to TOS canon in the fact that they have to contend with the galactic barrier? They didn't just ignore that. And
Yes.
the fact that you basically have a solar system of some kind, speculation anyway, behind a giant cloaking Dyson sphere outside of the galactic plane. So like, did they come from another place? Did they lift their system out of, for some reason? I'm really intrigued to know like Tensi's deal. Like what's their whole deal? It's just an odd, and it's probably the first intriguing MacGuffin that New Trek has presented, in my opinion.
Well, and I don't know if you follow astronomy at all, but earlier this year, there were a few articles. They have found that there are more extragalactic stars and planets out. Well, stars, the planets are inferred, than there are stars within galaxies.
No, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those things astronomers do. They look at a chunk of space and they go, oh, there's 12 of these and 15 of these. Well, this is wholly freaking empty. And if we're seeing 12 of these things, then there must be gazillions of them everywhere else. So they found a whole bunch of stars outside, not in any galaxy, just floating around between galaxies. And they did some calculations and they determined that means there's way more extragalactic stars and potentially planets than there are actually in galaxies.
And that makes perfect sense. I mean, it's a big universe, and galaxies are just accretions of stars. So you don't necessarily have to be in a galaxy to be a star. I just think it's the first time, at least in Trek, that they've brought up something of that possibility. So it's to me that's the best, most intriguing development of the season is just where they are and who they are.
I think we're gonna get more of those answers because you get the penultimate episode next week and then the finale after that. I think we're gonna get a lot more of those answers in the penultimate episode, probably.
I told my co-host, I hope they're just a bunch of brains in jars.
I'll bet you 3 Quatloos.
They're just gambling and lighting up.
I would hate that so much.
I think I would like it so much. I'd be like, this is so dumb.
Well, there could be a yellow brain and a green brain and a pink brain.
Because that's what happens when you evolve as a species. You choose colors for your brain.
Everything's color coded. Yeah. All right. So this week's episode was titled Rubicon, and it was written by Alan McElroy and directed by Andy Hang on,
before we go on, I need to step away for just a second.
Okay.
Does that mean he wants us to wait?
The way you said it was like, so?
And you are... and this is regarding.
Well, I thought he was gonna bring up a point or something, and he said, "I need to step away."
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'll play the part of Rick while he's away. So go ahead, Sean.
I'll wait for him to get back.
Come on, I really want to see this now.
There's a kitty cat.
First, I point over my shoulder. Cat butt.
If you be Rick, I'll be you, Chris.
I hated it.
Well, I just don't think they developed the characters enough.
I think maybe I do need to change my tune. I feel like
No,
I
I
said
mean, you're
that about
not wrong.
Discovery every episode. Yeah, but I have to find something else to focus on.
All right.
I've had to come to the conclusion, like, yeah, I agree. They haven't developed the Discovery characters, most of them enough. Same time, they're not the focus. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've got their
that's-
core characters that they consider to be their main group, and those are the ones that the stories are written about. You know,
I've come to the conclusion that late 90s, early 2000s was the pinnacle of sci-fi series having blending the episode by episode adventure with the season long arc adventure. DS9 did it, Farscape does it, Babylon 5 did. Like that's when they hit that perfect mix. Every episode was, oh, that's the one where they do this thing, that's the one where they go to this planet. But it also there is a continual story that they're telling.
but you look at TNG
And Buffy. Let me throw Buffy in there too.
yeah. But
And
you look
Supernatural.
you look at
And
TNG and you say, like, yeah, we may have had 5 or 6 episodes throughout 2 seasons that focused on Worf, but how much do we really know Worf? By the end of that, he was just still like the big dumb muscle in a lot of ways.
But
No,
that's
he-
Worf.
still know him,
That's a
we still
bad
know him
example.
more than we know.
You
Worf-
picked the worst character in Star Trek. Seriously.
Who's been in the most Star Trek?
Are you reading
Exactly.
Rick
More
right now?
Star Trek than
Are you
anybody,
still
yeah.
Rick?
Who's never changed. I got problems with Worf.
Okay,
Worf is
LaForge.
Worf got better stories on Deep Space Nine than he ever got on TNG.
I'll agree
But he
with
was
But he
that.
was
the
still
same
an asshole.
Two-dimensional dick.
All right, and like LaForge, problems talking to women. He's also kind of a sexual predator a little bit. Like, I mean, that's what we've got from
awesome
LaForge.
friend, perfect,
That's
great,
his
great friend, very smart.
His best friend was a
Yeah.
robot.
Yeah, he's a very good friend to him. Though.
My best friend's a robot. My girlfriend's a hologram. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
And yet he
Yeah.
gives Barkley shit.
Yeah. Barkley was just you talking about a sexual predator.
Yeah, they should have had a scene where LaForge is going like, Barkley, where do you get this shit? And Barkley's like, I learned it from you.
Because every woman that Barkley runs into on the turbo lift, he's thinking to himself, yeah, I'm gonna bang you on the holodeck later.
Yeah, he is. I'm glad that they addressed that elephant in the room, because we all knew sitting there watching, even as kids, I was like, there's some creeper on the Enterprise who's doing this. There's gotta
Yeah, and
be.
his name was Commander Riker.
Yeah. He
Also
didn't
that.
need the holodeck.
No, he
had his
didn't.
he had his fictional women that he liked to believe were real, who were in the holodeck, and then he had the real women outside of the holodeck,
Yeah.
in
All
between
right.
jealous glares at Troy and whoever she was conquesting that week.
This
Oh,
week's
God.
episode was titled Rubicon, and it was written by Alan McElroy and directed by Andy Armaganian. The
That too.
original air date was February 16th, 2022. Captain Burnham and the Discovery race to stop Book and Tarka from launching a rogue plan that could inadvertently endanger the galaxy. Now, this episode I thought was
Inadvertently about it. That was
I thought
absolutely deliberate.
this episode was more like it. I was wishing that they had come back at the second half of the season with a 2-hour premiere, so that I could have just seen this immediately after the episode from before, because it felt more like the Discovery that I know, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I love that they brought Nan back.
None.
I thought that the updated breathers kind of took away everything that made her look like a Barzan, because now she just looks like everybody else. She's just got some wrinkles on her forehead. So
What?
because if you're new to Star
I would have
Trek,
been annoyed.
if you're new to Star Trek and you just see her and her hair is covering her breathers, then you don't know
Doesn't matter.
anything about what the Barzan.
It's like those
Barzans
damn
were.
Bajorans and their nose wrinkles.
No one cares.
I care. I wouldn't have brought it up.
I'm sorry. I know lots of people care.
You know what? Okay.
But this is what
All
I'm thinking,
giggling
like, just-
aside,
again, head canon, head canon are us. As a practical matter, if she's going to be in security, all I have to do is like, boop, and she can't breathe. It makes sense for her to be more streamlined, and less, easy to debilitate.
Oh, I understand why they did it. They just didn't want to deal with the.
Well,
the headgear,
it's
and it
also,
didn't make
they're
sense
900 years in the future.
Yeah.
And, it would be like if somebody from the 1800s with polio showed up today and they're wearing, like cast iron braces and a wicker wheelchair, and you're like, you stick with that.
If you didn't, it wouldn't fit continuity, in my opinion. So why increase your quality of life because it doesn't fit my aesthetic?
She just looks like a regular person as opposed to a freak.
I didn't say she looked like a freak.
I think we found one of Sean's fetishes.
I love, absolutely adored how Michael reacted to Nan, because I think the Michael of 4 years ago would have been, no way, you're not telling me what to do. And it's, we're actually finally seeing some progression with Michael this semester, this season.
I feel like to that point, going back to the casino episode, the last episode, where you said that Michael and Owl had that moment where they touched heads, and then they see Nan. I feel like everyone who made the jump, the 900-year jump, they're super tight because in a sense they're all that they have. So seeing Nan is literally like seeing a piece of your life that's gone.
Yeah.
And I really have enjoyed that aspect of it since they've jumped. Everybody is just that much closer because of that. And it's really helped with a lot of the dynamics of the show.
To be fair, I do like how much Michael has changed and you don't really notice it as much, but I was just talking to a couple of people and they were like, oh yeah, I much preferred it when Michael was very Vulcan-like. And I was like, you know what? She really has changed. She has become way more open with her emotions and way more like just emotionally giving than she used to be. And man, they actually have
the conversation that she had with Owo in the last episode was reminiscent of the way Giorgio was the original Giorgio was speaking to Michael in the premiere. So she was much more captain-like in that scene. So
I feel like the irony of what you're saying, Dave, is that Michael became that way once she healed her rift with Spock, and then subsequently lost him immediately after that. But to heal your rift with someone who is steadfastly non-emotional, and that brings your emotions out. Very neat.
Yeah.
And also, like, the other series, you see the captains after the point where they're fully formed captains, but here you see her before she's ready to be a captain. So she, you see her as the Vulcan, you see her as the rebel, or at least the headstrong, I know what's right no matter what. You see her as like the kind of bounty hunter thing. You see her, you see her as the scientist. You get to see all of these things that it takes to make someone a Starfleet captain. The difference is you see it before it happens, as opposed to so everybody's complaining because she's still cooking, and at this point she's baked.
Well,
she's still a fresh captain though, so there's still
she's baked.
Love the smell of fresh captain,
but not burn.
That captain's almost ready.
That sounds like a Buffy reference.
Don't burn the ham.
She's not cookies yet. She's not cookies. Yes. I made that joke and nobody laughed. Although Sean, you did make it better.
It's all about bringing it back around.
I tend to think that we don't see at the beginning of these series, we never see these captains fully formed. Like when you go back to the original series, whether they intended it or not this way, like Kirk is over here worrying about, oh, well, I can't show weakness in front of my crew. And then, you jump forward to what Wrath of Khan and like outright going, "Yep, there's a dude out here trying to kill me. I don't know my son.
Oh, yeah,
I am
but
a
you know
piece of
what?
shit."
Yeah, but you're talking about 34-year-old Kirk, the
Yes.
youngest captain of
I
Starfleet
know.
history, who's got something to prove, as opposed to 50-year-old Kirk in midlife crisis saying, I'm fucking Kirk. I've done it all. I can be
Right.
vulnerable. I'm Kirk. I'm unassailable.
I said they didn't intend to do it. But even like Next Generation, you know, like where Picard is like very like standoffish towards children and very like rigid. And by the, you know, middle and then subsequently the end of that series where he like goes and plays poker, it's just like, dude, you were always welcome. And he's like, oh shit, I did have a crew. I did have like a family on board, you know, and there was a lot of growth with Cisco. I mean, there was.
Well, I'm not saying that they don't have anywhere to go, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like a lot of complaints about Burnham of how she behaves. Oh, well, yeah, she's not ready to be captain yet.
Right. But you know, that I go into all that because so often I see that like, oh, we had fully formed captains on the show and I'm on all the other shows. And I'm like, but you didn't know.
Right. Yeah,
You
the rookie
didn't know.
captains.
Season 1 Archer is a lot different than season 4 Archer. We'll just put it out there.
Oh God, in season 3 when he's like throwing people in airlocks.
Yeah, and at the beginning of season 4 when he comes home and he's just like the most bitter, ill-used person
Right.
on the planet.
See,
Yeah.
now
Loved
I guess
it.
I gotta
I
watch
loved it.
Enterprise. This sounds awesome.
Okay, question. Is there anything more wholesome than Saru and to what's her name?
Tarina.
Tarina.
Oh, yeah.
I love
their high
this
school
romance
crush.
with them.
What's her name?
I couldn't remember. I was like,
Saru
Spring, no, that's the
Squeeze.
wrong one.
The reason it's so funny to me is like I did basically the same thing on this last episode of Star Trek UCast. I was just like, Saru and Vulcan lady.
Well, I think that what I liked about that scene at the end when basically Saru and Tarina were making dinner plans and all that. First of all, she's a hologram, but she can touch him. That was
He
weird.
didn't touch. Okay, here.
Yeah, she
I have
touched
seen
his
this
hand.
before.
No,
They were
like
they weren't
this.
touching, and she didn't say anything that you couldn't get if you're able to read body language. She wasn't mind melding with him or anything, because I've seen people, you know.
Said you seem distracted or something like that.
No,
Hard
I
light
wasn't,
is a
I wasn't
thing.
thinking that.
Hard light is a thing in the 24th century in Star Trek universe. 2, in the original series, Spock freaking mind controlled a guard through a giant rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how
Canon.
close was he? She's how many like
was 3
what
feet
struck
of
me about
paper
that
mache
scene-
between.
How
They did
close?
touch.
it wasn't even the fact that she could maybe touch him. It's the fact that he went bleep, 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 and she immediately appeared. How far away are they from Navarre that they can have that instantaneous communication?
Oh, well,
am
that's
sure
that's
they have a
just a
direct
Star
line.
Trek thing. That's just
That's
a Star Trek thing. Yeah.
I
And
just
you're
and I
supposed to be able
I
to
pretty much
be-
thought she was at Starfleet headquarters.
There was a little bit of static in the Zoom call. She flickered every now and then.
Yeah,
But
I
as
don't
far
know.
as-
it just that's what I was like. Will they have an Ansible? I guess.
As far as being able to read him, Sarah could read freaking Michael from
Yeah, that's
across
true.
the galaxy in Discovery. And not only that, you had Spock over here sensing the great emotion of V'ger on Vulcan. And Vulcan
Yeah, there's plenty of precedent
Barclay was able to talk to
Obi-Wan knew there
Janeway.
was a disturbance
in the
Force
Delta
when
Quadrant.
Alderaan was destroyed.
Well, the
Barclay
was
the,
able
the
to
simultaneous the instantaneous communication is well established. They have subspace relays, so that's how they can communicate.
So the
faster
message
than
gets
light,
there before you sent it.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what bugged
Gotcha.
me though.
But my point,
they
wait,
still have
my point that I was making, what I liked about that scene
Sorry,
was not,
I forgot about
was
that.
not necessarily that they were making dinner plans, but the fact that Saru went to Culber and was like, I don't know what to do. And Culber was like, don't be stupid. You know, like, just go with your
Dumbass,
gut.
you get to bang a Vulcan.
It's like, dude, she's into you.
When does
All
that
right, Dave,
happen?
what were you going to say?
Ever.
I was gonna say it bugs
You're
me
essentially a walking cow. Take the win.
that 32nd century, they still got the holograms that are like,
Mhm.
you know, I was like, they didn't do that shit on the holodeck and any of the shows.
Yeah,
know
I think that they only do that just to establish
That they're not there.
that it is a
Yeah.
communication and it's not, and that they're not, because they're basically they're not even doing like see-through holograms. I mean, it's just like the person standing there. So they do the little shake every once in a while just to remind you that person's not really there.
All these sci-fi nerds that is the hologram.
I know why they do it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with you. I don't like it. And I especially don't like that there's a sound effect every time. Like there's sound effects for stuff that doesn't need a sound effect. Like if you turn off something, there's not a boop, boop, boop. You don't need a sound.
Yeah.
It should just go off.
When
everything
you-
doesn't need a sound. And I'm not, I'll number a little bit to the Foley artists, but sometimes just no sound.
When I got my first computer and I discovered you could change sounds, I may be misremembering this, but I think I found like a sound theme where the keys would beep every time you touched a key, like in every science fiction movie. And it took about 10 minutes for me to go turn that shit off.
All right, so let's talk about the plot a little bit.
Well, if we
Discovery gets sent after booking Tarka, but since Michael's too close to the situation, Non is being sent with her to make sure that what needs to get done gets done. Burnham tries to sneak up on Book by jumping there immediately and then boarding. He wants to board the ship. Well, she does board. She boards the ship, and wait a minute.
What? No,
I didn't board.
I'm getting confused.
Me too, man.
Hosting a show is hard. Burnham
she starts to go, and Non's like, you're staying here, and she's like, I'm not going.
Yeah, Book okay, so Burnham tries to sneak you away, and she wants to board the ship and talk him down, but instead she sends an away team, which includes Bryce, Reese, Culber, and Saru, and they almost get killed because Tarka has put in like this security measure that's gonna basically eat the ship from around them and crush them, and they beam out just in time. And what I like is when they beam onto the ship, Burnham asks, are you okay? Saru says yes. He didn't ask the other guys if they were okay. He just said yes, we're fine.
And then she said, get back to your stations. Like,
yeah,
walk it off.
Yeah. Time's a tough guy.
Now let me ask a question. When the hell did Discovery get a cloak?
They've had it since
the
they got to
31st century, man.
31st century. They got that was part of their upgrade.
Why would they?
And
not
they've
have a
used
cloak?
it. And they've used it before. They used it in the they used it in the battle against the green lady. What's her name?
Oh, okay.
Osiris.
Yeah,
Osiris.
Right?
Yeah, they used
Osiris.
it.
Yeah.
Osiris,
Osiris.
Because when they cloaked, I was like, cloak? And my wife was like, yeah, cloak. They have one. I was like, okay. And then I was reading Neek's send up of the episode, and she was like, when the hell did they get a cloak? I was like, see, it's not just me.
No, I remember them having a conversation last season about it, because the whole reason that the Federation didn't use cloaks in TNG and DS9 was because of the treaty with the Romulans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a explanation last season where, since the Romulans and the Vulcans are kind of together now, that everybody has a cloaking device. It's part of standard issue on starships now. So
Yeah, okay.
Like power. Rangers.
yeah. So Non reveals another aspect to her assignment to Discovery. She tells Burnham that they have a last resort plan to destroy Book's ship. They can fire a torpedo into the impulse manifold. It'll start a chain reaction that ends at the spore drive. It will destroy the ship and any other vessel that's close by. So it could destroy them as well. But Burnham wants to hold off on that. So she tries to get Stamets to figure out by how much boromite is in the area, how much longer the DMA is going to take to mine this stuff. And he figures it up. Yeah, they're going to be here for about a week. So we've got a week to figure all this out. and then she flies her shuttle and like has a face-to-face conversation with Book. I kind of thought that was kind of weird that she's got to fly over so that she can look at him through the window and talk, but she does kind of talk him into waiting, but she didn't talk Tarka into waiting, you know. He hit the red button anyway.
They all ignored him, and which
well, I think they said at the beginning of the episode they did hang a lantern on that. It's like, no, Book is reasonable, Tarka's the wild card.
And that was their miscalculation. They didn't know how, because Tarka has admitted to Book what his deal is, although I still don't believe him. Being from another mirror universe or whatever, I think that was just too convenient. But I've been wrong on this show before. I've been wrong on this show a lot. So, that is one thing I was talking to my wife about. Is one of the many things I love about Discovery is every time I think I know what they're doing, I'm completely wrong. They're really good at pulling rabbits out of a hat. Whether or not you like the rabbit they pull out, they're right. Been really good at coming up with a rabbit you didn't see coming.
It's a mangy ass rabbit that no one would have ever used, but damn it, I was surprised.
That rabbit's seen some things.
That rabbit's eyes are twitching like the changeling,
it's got one ear kind of bent going that way.
The other ear's got like 6 earrings in it.
I did like the shuttle conversation with Michael and Book, though, because she couldn't get onto the ship, and it's one thing talking audio, but it's another thing being face to face.
Well, he also wasn't answering her hails.
Yeah, that was why.
Yeah.
And I really like the dynamic of the relationship between Book and Michael in this, because it's like they love each other, and yet they're both, they're at opposite ends of this action, and they're both like, just come with me and we can make this work. And it's very real. How many have you ever had a contentious relationship about any issue with someone you absolutely adore, but you're completely on opposite sides of an issue? It's not usually universe ending.
Of the universe. But... tissue, you got the flap goes in the front.
Like
the biggest fight. No, it's not the biggest fight. But it is consistent.
So Tarka is in for a nasty revelation, because he does destroy the DMA's controller, but he finds out that it's actually being powered from the other side of the wormhole, so he can't use the power source to go home like he was planning to. So
he blows it up, and another one shows up, and he's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
Which I hate that he didn't think that the power source might have been from the other side. You didn't consider that.
I didn't. Okay. That didn't occur to me, but I love that, because it is exactly what would happen if you have some automatic mining equipment. It turns out there's a number, section 34 has gone dark. Okay, we'll replace it, and then you replace it, and then, it's up and running again. No, we're not gonna go that's exactly
because they're sending this thing. They're sending this thing in to mine the boromite. If you're sticking the hose of a vacuum in and you're vacuuming out your car, the power source to the vacuum is not at the end of the hose. It's back there where you are.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for that episode.
I don't think you're wrong, Rick, about Tarka being duplicitous. But I don't have any reason to not think he's from another dimension. And I do like that he, unlike, Lorca, who had every part of his plan laid out, perfectly, and he had to manipulate all these little events to, but it was all part of the plan. Tarka really does seem to be, kind of making it up as he goes along. He has an overall plan, but it's not like, he's not Voldemorting this. He's like there's oh well, no shit, that didn't work. Okay, well let me try this.
He's so used to being the smartest guy in the room, no matter how big the room is, that it doesn't occur to him that he could fail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why he didn't put an off switch on that defense mechanism in the shuttle.
Yeah.
It's
See,
like,
I'm not convinced that that wasn't intentional. That he's just more bloodthirsty than Book is. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot to turn it off. Did you forget to turn it off?
well, yeah,
I don't know.
my
The
co-host
way
made,
he's playing it, and great job, by the way, just acting.
My
the way he's
take
playing
on-
it could go either way.
my take on that was that it was another example of how reckless he is and how much he thinks his way is the right way. So he's just like, why would I need to turn it off? They're intruding.
Why would I need to tell you about it?
Yeah,
I'm
my
not-
co-host brought up that it was probably more or less a thing where he didn't want Book to be able to turn it off.
Mhm.
So he wouldn't design it to turn off. I
And
think
maybe
that's
he
a good
just
one, too.
said it
That's a
couldn't
good
be
take,
turned
too.
off.
Yeah.
Maybe
He just
what?
didn't want to turn it off. You know.
Bottom line, he's
Yeah.
a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the
Either
bottom
way.
line. This is
Um,
all his fault.
now I mean he's gonna get another chance, I think, to get that power source because next week's episode is titled The Galactic Barrier. So
I
they may be crossing over.
I was disappointed after they launched the thing. They tried it. It didn't work. I was disappointed that they didn't turn themselves in. I figured that they would like, you know what? I understand that these are the stakes. I understand that I'm going to be punished for doing this, but to me, it's worth it. I figured that after they did it, Book would turn himself in. Maybe Tarka wouldn't, but I was a little surprised by that because it seemed to kind of violate his code of honor from my perspective.
I
No,
don't.
we're still doing.
How much did we get like after that though? Like, because it was just like, oh shit, it happened. I didn't mean for it to happen, and then like the episode was over.
Well, I think
Yeah,
I think
they just found out that there was another DMA, and
they
that
jump
was
away?
pretty much the end of it.
Yeah.
They
jumped away.
They jumped away.
Yeah.
Spored away.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't like, okay, well, we're ready to face the consequences for our actions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And
sure
then-
Tarko.
and then the
Well, they
wheels are in
jumped. They
motion.
jumped away because they didn't want to blow up.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
sick.
but they could have
Yeah.
jumped to a place to turn themselves in.
Yeah.
Well, but
I mean, I
maybe they
guess we'll see
did.
next week, but I don't think.
I doubt Tarka did, but
Yeah.
I mean, God, what was I gonna say? I had a thing, and then you brought that shit up.
I've been doing that for the last 10 minutes. I had something I wanted to bring up a while ago, and it like we went off on a weird tangent, and I can't remember it.
Oh, did you guys notice the USS Mitchell was the ship that was watching the DMA?
And then I thought of when they hit the
Yeah,
galactic
yeah.
barrier, are they going to
Yep.
get sudden
Oh,
Esper
nice.
powers? And
Mhm.
is it going to be Denner and Mitchell out there
Yeah.
beyond the galactic
Oh, that would be
plane?
Oh
cool.
God,
They're both still alive.
is Tarka
Really
is Tarka
damn
gonna
old.
come back with the crazy blue eyes and have all the godlike powers and everything?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Yeah, there's silver eyes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
kneel before me, James.
I brought up this point. I was like, I love that like that guy got godlike powers and he used it to nail a nurse and also be a dick to his best friend.
Well, remember,
what he
she
did.
was a walking refrigerator unit, so
That's
he
true.
did get the upper hand on
That's
that
true.
one.
To be fair, she was a doctor as well. She was
Uh-huh.
a doctor. She wasn't a
Sure.
nurse. It's my
But that-
misogyny coming out.
That's been a Roddenberry thing since the beginning, though, is God, ultimate power corrupts ultimately, or whatever, the absolute
Mhm.
power corrupts absolutely. And that's every
Yeah.
godlike being they've ever met has been at some point gone, F all of you ants. Even,
Yeah.
I think the only one that ever reeled himself back in was Sargon and went, yeah, we suck. We gotta go.
But yeah, man.
All right.
I love that second pilot. So I would love it if they brought in somebody with like the godlike powers.
Oh, where No Man Has Gone
Oh.
Before is
Yeah.
maybe my favorite episode.
Well,
of
they
the
did it
original
on Lower
series.
Decks.
Yeah,
What about Lower
Strange
Decks?
energies?
They did it on
they
Lower
did.
Decks.
They did.
That's-
What
Okay,
did you guys think of the cat and mouse?
Can I say, I thought that this was the most exciting episode of the season by far. Maybe one of the most exciting of the entire series of Discovery. And it was the first time in quite a long time. This rarely ever happens where I didn't know what was going to happen. I felt like anything could happen. until I knew exactly what was going to happen. It turned on a
Yeah.
dime. As soon as they said, okay, we have the breathing space, and everybody's giving smiles across the bridge, and I said, he's gonna blow it. He's gonna, you saw that one coming a mile away. But before that, when they were doing the chase through the rogue planet or whatever, it was what are they in? It was like a nebula slash
a destroyed planet. So it was
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
it was a shell of a planet.
Yeah, but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah,
they knew
that
each other
scene
so
where they're
well,
all
they
jumping
could predict
around.
everybody's.
That
dope.
really reminded me of that episode from the first season, the one where they ended up going to the mirror universe because they had that program of like 157 different jumps all at one time.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. Pop, 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 pop.
I remembered what it was I wanted to bring up earlier. One of the things I really liked was Burnham. Once they figured out what the DMA was doing, and Burnham was like, "Oh, it's just mining," and she tells that to Book, and he's like, "That's even freaking worse because it's not even deliberate. It's like they just absolutely don't care." And that's what I was thinking as soon as they found out it's mining, and it's like, it's fucking up whole star systems just to suck up a few bits of this element.
I'm with Burnham on this. Not that it doesn't matter, but okay.
It's not active aggression on purpose.
They don't really know what they're doing, but they clearly have the means to destroy us. So
fracking.
Let's not get on their bad side.
Yeah.
Let's explain. Oh, hey guys, we're here. We're sentient. Could you not? That might have been all it takes.
They're screwing up an ecosystem. They're screwing up an ecosystem to mine something. I mean, I don't know where they would have got that idea.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would really love it if characters on TV shows would watch TV, because I wish Book, dude, if a scientist starts rattling shit about philosophy, he's about to do something. Just punch him. Just run over and punch him.
I don't know why Book didn't take him out when that automated defense system almost took out a shuttle and killed crew members and his friends.
And he he fired for real.
Yeah,
when he was Book was still firing warning shots, and
why wouldn't he have punched him then? That was the one part where was like, why is this guy still walking around the bridge unfettered?
But
he's obviously murderous. He just doesn't care.
Especially when he starts slowly waxing like Lionel Luthor in Smallville over here. It's time to just punch him. He's about to turn the key and something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of Icarus Lex? God, just punch him.
All right. That's I think that's gonna do it for us. I want to let you all know that we do have a new movie commentary that got released last week. We watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
How the hell did everything happen last week? That was like 2 weeks ago.
I released it last week.
Oh, okay.
I finally got around to putting it together.
Okay.
And
you're just messing with my time sense here, because it's like, I know that wasn't a week ago that we did.
No, yeah, we recorded it a couple weeks ago.
I just spoke very clearly.
Okay.
So you can become a patron for as little as $3 a month, or you can join at the $5 or $10 level and become a producer like Dale Goodall, Bullet Bengal, Brandon Ushio, Tom Corcoran, and Jeff Hughes. But if you join, you'll be able to watch us watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and talk about it.
I'm pretty sure none of those people, with the exception of maybe one, would blow up a star system for selfish reasons.
You can also download the audio version if you don't want to see us watch the movie and you just want to watch the movie on Netflix and listen to us in your ear holes. You can do that too. So come over to patreon.com/infinite potato to find out more. And if you want to get in touch with us and tell us what you think of the show or your thoughts about these episodes, then go to infinitepotato.com, click on the link for that Star Trek podcast, and you'll find all of our info, including our email, our Facebook group, and our Twitter page. John, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
You can find me on various shows on the network, but as far as the exclusively John show, you can find me on Captain Game Show, the trivia wordplay pop culture podcast of the Infinite Potato Alliance.
All right. Rick, what about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Starbase 66, the International Star Trek and Genre Fiction podcast, where we just released a new episode a couple of days ago, and on Open the Iris, the Stargate SG1 podcast. And I've got a couple of new shows in the works that I hope are going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to necessarily, because I don't have titles yet, so I can't tell you what they're called. But one is going to be an audiobook review show. And the other is a Star Trek show that I'm still kind of working on the format, but I think it's going to be fun.
By the way, so you released Starbase 66, where you and me and Jen talked about not the Mandalorian, the Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett.
Not much difference, actually.
The book of the Mandalorian Boba Fett, which I like to call Mando and the Fett Man. And at the end of the show, you started talking about other shows that are on the network, and we completely neglected to mention Bad Movie Club, and I got called out on it.
Yeah.
Ali was not pleased.
Yes. So I promised him that when we recorded this episode, that I would give him an extra big shout out. Listen to Bad Movie Club. You can find that on the Infinite Potato Network at infinitepotato.com. And those guys watch movies that you can find. I think all the movies that they watch are on Amazon.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
So they find some movies on Amazon, and they watch them and they talk about them, and come check that out. It's a good show.
By the way, that extra big shout out just sounded like they complained. So here you go.
We
They're a bunch of
respond to
whiners
whiny
over there.
bitches. I mean, that's what we do.
Haven't we been doing that for the last hour and a half? I mean,
No one's asked me, but in my opinion, they have the second best intro on the network.
Oh.
That's the other one that I never skip.
Are you the first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
He's saying that he's the best.
John's ego's not going to let him be.
It has nothing to do
other
with
than
John.
first.
That's the thing. The intro to Captain Game Show is probably one of the best podcast intros ever.
I really
I
do
agree.
like getting it nominated. It's like I couldn't find a way. Like you have to pay. Did you guys know this? You got to pay to like be a part of the Webbies.
Yes.
Mhm.
You have to pay to do anything.
Sucks.
They have to pay to be a part of the Oscars, and I mean, you're just basically paying for a chance to hope to get a thing.
An Oscar nom costs millions with all the
Well, yeah, like, I know you got to like campaign for it and stuff, but
Yeah,
like just
campaigning
even
and
to
stuff.
enter your name. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but
whatever.
it's the film company paying for it. It's not coming out of the actor's pocket.
Well, it's coming out of mine.
It should be coming out of the Infinite
Sorry,
Potato
David.
Alliance
Sorry, David
coffers.
Bowers. Hip hop advocate.
All right, Dave, where can we find you?
If you are interested in the DC multiverse on film and television, you can check out DC on Screen. We do give everything a shot, even if we don't like it. Everything is valid. And Star Trek Universe, where me and my buddy, we've been talking about Star Trek since we were 6 years old, and we're 38 now, and we're still talking about it. So now you can join in on the conversation and hear that evolution. We don't have recordings of us at 6, but you can hear us from about 2 years ago.
Does the
Now.
word duty come up often, or
More often than you would
More
think.
with the T.
Mostly from me.
Duty,
I'd like
honor,
I would like to
bravery,
hear
all
what a
that stuff.
6-year-old had to say about Star Trek 32 years ago.
I know.
That'd be cool. All
we have a
right, Chris,
podcast
what about
feed?
you?
I wish we had had a podcast back then.
Hey, I used to
Primary
do
school
that. I mean,
direction.
that's basically what I'm doing now. I used to do when I was a kid. I just have a blank tape and I would record myself like acting like I'm a DJ.
You know what
and
I
stuff.
discovered when I found my aunt's tape player when I was 8 was that if you record a burp and then pause it before you run out of burp and then build up another burp and then unpause it, you can create like a 10-minute long burp.
Mm-hmm.
It also works with
Yes.
farts.
Well, those are harder to do on cue.
For some.
Speak for yourself. Sir.
Depends on your diet, really.
John's over here making farts into haikus. This is what he's
I got
doing in his
skills.
spare time.
5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. Yeah.
Z minus 10,000 meters. We have really sunk now.
Chris, where can we find you?
If anybody's
If you still want to be associated with this.
Clean this shit up, Chris. Clean it up like a diet.
Okay. You can find me on the Quantum Leap podcast at quantumleappodcast.com. We are once again poised on the brink of relevancy, which hasn't happened for Quantum Leap in quite a long time. So not only are we doing a full series retrospective of, we started from the beginning of Genesis just recently, we're still doing the tie-in novels. And we are also, anytime there's something relevant about the new pilot, we are dropping an episode as soon as we can. So go there for all of the latest news on the reboot, sequel, continuation, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be hitting Peacock at some point, I guess in a year. They're doing the production in March, so they're mere weeks away.
I don't think it'll be that long. I think we'll probably get it by late fall, probably.
Do you think
If
it'll
they're
come
doing
out this year?
if they're doing a pilot, it'll either
Yeah,
come out in the fall, or it might be January, but as like a mid-season replacement. But I think if they're going to start filming it in March, it should be ready by October.
Have they said it's a put pilot, or is it just a pilot that may never see the light of day?
Okay. We've had this discussion on the podcast. What you said, Dave, yes, because it's TV. Who knows? But I can't imagine that they have Helen Shaver coming in as a director and then also naming her a producer if they're not already committed to going to series. So I think that it's going to be the pilot as an event, but the series is, in my mind, a done deal at this point, at least one season, because I don't think that they would have gotten the horses to do it if, especially with Don Baldessari, who created the show, probably would have said no if we're going to do this.
Still alive?
Of course, Don Baldessari is a force. So
you know how many episodes?
It's like that force in Evil Dead. It's just
there's
moving camera on the track.
I think that force would be coming towards Don, and he would just give it the hairy eyeball, and it would stop and go back the other way. But
not before saying, "Oh boy."
Yeah. No, as far as how many episodes, the assumption is that it's going straight to Peacock because they want a Vanguard program for their streaming platform that has a built-in audience. So, Quantum Leap's as good at IP as any, probably a better one than most. But in this landscape, can you see more than 13 episodes? I can't.
I would assume 6 to 8 episodes per first.
I was going to say 8 to 12.
Yeah.
Because Quantum Leap doesn't work as well if there's only a couple of episodes. You need to see them in different situations.
Yeah, but the other thing about this, and do you want to go into this tangent, Sean, or do you want to end the show?
No, go ahead.
One thing that they have confirmed is that it's going to be just as much as back at the project stuff as it is the leaps. So that's going to build in the current day need for serialization continuity, because Quantum Leap is an anthology show. It's different every week, or anyway, the original series it was. So the back at the project intrigue and all that is, I think, what's going to bring it into the 21st century sort of model that we follow now for the streaming. So,
yeah, they don't really make anything that's not serialized anymore. I mean, episodic TV
Strange New Worlds is supposed to not be.
It's not supposed to be as serialized, but I guarantee there's going to be serialized aspects to it.
They did say there were going to be season arcs.
Yeah.
If they hit again, late 90s, if they hit that sci-fi mix,
that beautiful mix.
And with the original Quantum Leap, all I ever really wanted was more Project Quantum Leap and more, God in the bar at the end of the universe type of stuff. Like I wanted to see where the evil leapers were really coming from and what they were. I wanted all of that. I wanted, oh my God, give me the end of the show.
Speculation is rife. We have already decided which character on the character sheet is the evil leaper. We've already decided a lot of stuff just in our head canon. So if you guys haven't listened, episodes 98 and 99 of the podcast are the ones that deal with the reboot announcement and then the character announcement. So go listen, quantumleappodcast.com.
All right. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss the next episode of Discovery, which is titled The Galactic Barrier. Until then, remember, sacrifice is always heavy, although doing it for the right reason should help. It never does.